We've got 50 people in the room, which is pretty cool because quite often I start and we're right around 50-ish, but not so. A lot of people recognize, of course, in the room, Arts 4014, Mark Miller, Hobie Jackson got his book, as did DePaul. Daniel Kester's in the house. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, good to see you, my friend. Swamp Rat, 1031. Darkwood, 777. Yeah, we had some storms blow through Michigan on Friday. Not for a long time, but they came through and caused some havoc. About 500,000 people in Michigan lost power on Friday. I was not one of them. I was quite happy about that. But I was at a show. I went to see the Guess Who at Pine Knob, which I'll do a video about shortly. 116-3562 is in the house. Mr. Steve. I had a client who called me Mr. Steve and roll the R. Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve. Idris Taylor, Prodigal Stranger. Richie Rich, 3434. Daniel Kester, will the Canadian robot lady be in the house with us today? I don't think so. Although I did not send her a specific message this time, but she normally gives me a heads up if she can make it. Fatim Butterpants, hey folks. Lewis Browning, M. Kolba from Milwaukee, Miko Angel. I'm having a nice day. Tara Pasquale, hey, 98 degrees and raining here in Western and South Carolina. Yeah, we had high 90s all last week and into the hundreds with the heat index. It was not comfortable at all if you went outside. Mike Torello, Christopher Szolski, Bluesman 970. Who? No, the Guess Who. Dan Boyd. Storms waited for the fireworks to mostly end last night. But yeah, no, I heard some fireworks last night where people had industrial grade stuff. And I was driving home right around dusk, and I actually saw some places where the road was dangerously filled with smoke because people were launching them down at the end of their driveways. So, Twitter post, please do a house tour. Of what house? The White House? An outhouse? What? Oh, Tony Gilbert, love the channel, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Echo Trex, hello, and salutations. Salutations are good, right? Yes, greetings and salutations. You may have heard that phrase also in Good Morning Vietnam from one of the disc jockeys who is not the star of the show. Greetings and salutations. Sam as I am. Hey, 2000 MCR, we don't take plastic. I should get that on a t-shirt. We don't take plastic. With someone who looks a lot like the Wicked Witch, but just not green. Sarah KC. Hello, Stephen. Everyone, happy birthday, USA. David Scott, what happens to the $100 bill? What happens to it or what happened to it? It's up there. It's always up there. Miko Angel, I'm kind of losing hope. It's been a while. Are we talking about the t-shirts? Because there is a t-shirt right back there. Is that the shirt you sent me? I have a question about it. If, in fact, that's your shirt, let me know. Dave O. Do. Hey, hey. Good to see you. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. It's fun to say. Oh. Oh, stop spamming M says, I grew up near Jamestown, Virginia. I know there are many old abandoned family cemeteries. That's a whole different thing. In many places in the early days, there were not public cemeteries. You could have a family plot on your property, and it was not uncommon, especially in the old days. And nowadays, of course, doesn't happen as often. But I know where there's a cemetery behind an old abandoned church that I'm pretty sure people who live 100 yards from it don't know it's there. And I don't even know the story about it. So. Yeah, Miko Angel, the cool looking digital world map and the Lockheed Martin logo. I think those are two separate shirts, right? What is the meaning of the map on the cool looking digital world map? Does it have meaning? I don't know what it means. I'm curious about that. That's all. Pawn you, LOL, you mad. What genre of movies do you like most? I'm guessing historical and or comedy. I like all kinds of movies. Some of my favorite movies, like I love Shakespeare in Love. Guys make fun of me for saying that, but that movie's done so well. I liked Amadeus. I like The Prestige, and those are all different kinds of movies. I liked Memento. I liked Airplane. I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So, I mean, I like funny movies, but I also like serious movies. And it depends, so there you go. Yeah, Michelangelo is just out of frame. Yeah, but the question I have is, what is the meaning of that shirt? Does it have a meaning? The world map one is from the old video game Uplink. Uplink. I did not know there was such a game. Okay. I will wear it next week. I promise. I wanted to make sure there wasn't some hidden meaning I didn't get. And people go, "Oh, Steve, do you know what that shirt actually means?" Okay. Spart on 654. What was the weirdest case you were part of? The weirdest case you were part of. I didn't do a lot of weird cases. I had a couple that I didn't handle. I had someone in my office. I wish I could tell the story. One of the craziest stories ever was somebody who came into my office with a story. I said, "I will represent you," and they didn't hire me. And I wish they had. They never pursued their case, and they should have. Fast Eddie, what color is the cup today? We are a total mismatch because the blue was so far down, I'd have to completely shuffle to get to it. So there is no correlation between the shirt and the cup today. Miko, Angel, the meaning is part of the game. It's all the servers you bounce through to cover your tracks while you're hacking computers in the game. Okay. That was one thought I had, but I wasn't sure. Mark Wilson, how much lawyering do you do these days? I still do a lot of lawyering. I'm still full-time a lawyer. I'm just also a YouTuber and an author as well. Belio, Lehto movie reactions. I would join a live online movie reaction with you. The only problem with those reaction shows is there's so many of them. And it's like the guys do the music reactions. And I also hate to use copyrighted material in my presentations. So Arts 4014, there's a small family plot near me that has a lady born in 1699 and died in 1801. Wow. Lived in 3 different centuries. That is amazing. That is amazing. Prodigal Stranger, they ate Robin's minstrels when it came to wintertime, and there was much rejoicing. Robin, brave Sir Robin, who turned his tail and fled. Yeah, I got it. I'll wear the shirt next week. Guaranteed. Tank the Lord, hey, from England. Thank you for checking in, my friend. What's the meaning of the name Tank the Lord? I'm curious. I've been to the Tank Museum in England. Beautiful place, but I'm wondering if that's the same kind of tank you have there in your name. Yamaha drummer checking in from No Name, Colorado. There you go. Fast Eddie, they reversed the red card on the American soccer player. Cool. I watched that game, and that was not a deserved red card. But, anytime you watch something in slow motion, you can make it look different than it really was. And it's so clearly uh, incidental to the collision. And a yellow card, maybe, but not a red card. And the Americans still won playing one man short, but still. Benjamin Wilson, 6694. I'm in the market for a new office chair. Remember that you had one a while back. Do you still recommend that chair is the one you are in now? Yes, I'm sitting on one right now. And that right there is another one. They're made by FlexiSpot. FlexiSpot, FlexiSpot. They've got great stuff. And I would not say that if number one, I use them and I like them. But number two, I recommend them because I said before I would consider sponsoring, letting them sponsor me. I said, you got to send me one and let me try it out. And I tried it out and I said, I like this chair. I like it. It's comfortable. And by the way, I've had them now for a while, so they're durable as well. Tank the Lord. Tanks. Yep. Okay, cool. Because they could also be thank the Lord, but just misspelled, Oh, boy. Darkwood 777. I still remember laughing in the theater at that movie. What, Holy Grail? So do I. I remember I saw it at the Maple 3 in West Bloomfield in Michigan. Back when it first came out. I couldn't get anyone to go see it with me. I sat in a theater by myself. One of the rare movies I saw by myself. And you sometimes you feel funny in your theater laughing like that hard and you're by yourself, but whatever. Ian Gotti, I played soccer one man short, no rest. I played soccer in high school and I also played in adult leagues. And playing indoor soccer in adult leagues, they do give people timeouts. So you do play one man short for a while, but 5-on-4 when there's no offsides rule, really, you can. So NZ Kiwi NZ has changed his thumbnail. Good morning from New Zealand, and good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for checking in. Jerry Kugel, hey Steve, happy 4th of July. Thank you, my friend. Belio the Beach. I mentioned it last week, did I? Yeah, it's a good book. I love that book. They made it into a movie. The movie's not as good as the book, but the book is very good. Alex Garland wrote it. He's written a couple other books, but that's one where he clearly hit his stride. It's a fast reading book. It really makes you think about a couple things that are interesting thoughts. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's a very good book. I liked it. I read the book the first time probably 25 years ago or something, shortly after it came out. And then I read it again since then, but I've also seen the movie several times. But Leonardo DiCaprio was completely the wrong casting choice for that movie, but they just did it for the box office. So Blueberry the Greats, I took a dip in the ocean on Friday. I think it was the first time in 16 years. Which ocean? There's there's more than one. Nick Bradley, in real time, the man should have gotten a yellow card. I agree, at most a yellow. They're supposed to only use full speed replay for that. Well, I can see them using the slow motion just if they can't quite grasp what's happening. But one of the things that I don't like about modern soccer is how much shirt pulling there is. And I'm sorry, but if I'm playing soccer and a guy grabs my shirt where you can see the shirt being pulled, they ought to automatically call that. Just call it. You don't grab each other. That's wrong. Now, pushing and bumping, that's okay, but the actual grabbing of the shirt should always get called as a foul, I think. I think. Yes, fetch me the holy hand grenade. Read to us in the book of armaments, brother Maynard. Joe Palmer. Now a curmudgeon. Why no fiction books? Where? What are you talking about? No fiction books. The Beach that we're talking about, the book is a fiction book. MH08, last movie I saw in a theater was Men in Black. I've cut back on movies I've seen in theaters, but I've seen a few. I watched, of course, Sisu and Sisu 2 in a theater. Also, I saw The Marsh King's Daughter, the movie made based on the book my friend wrote. I saw that in the theater as well. 6-7 username. Hey, Steve, longtime fan here. LaDawn from Arizona, thanks for being just a genuine guy. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. The first time I've been called genuine in a long time. Echo Track says it's really all just one big ocean. Yeah, but oceanographers and all those people, they tend to get nitpicky about that. Mark Miller, do you care if anybody misuses then or than? It depends. You're talking about spoken or written. Because sound, I get people picking on me for the way I pronounce some vowels. And I'm talking fast, and I'm not that worried always about the exact pronunciation of the vowels within a word if I get the sentence grammatically correct. So it depends. But in written form, yes. Akey115, as a truck driver, what are your thoughts on the states that issued non-domicile CDLs that directly resulted in deaths? Example would be the idiot who tried to do an illegal U-turn on a highway in Florida and killed a family. No, something. It's been a while since I've done much with talking about CDLs and truck drivers on my main channel during just a regular video. But I talk about it from time to time. Truck drivers, I believe, have one of the most difficult jobs out there and one of the most important jobs out there. And I've mentioned this before. Without truck drivers and trucks, our country would grind to a halt. All of society, everything you buy at a store was moved by a truck at one time or another. And so I know how hard it is to get a CDL. I know how many hoops you got to jump through to be legal and all that. And so you can't create shortcuts there. And the sad part is that we often do hear of these horrific tragedies involving trucks, and then you find out it's like, oh, the person shouldn't have been driving the truck at all, you know. And so it's sad, but to you, it's got to be the same way I feel when I hear about an attorney who's gone bad. I'm watching American Greed, and some guy ripped off people for hundreds of millions, and he's like, oh, and he's an attorney, and I'm like, oh God, you know, there's 40,000 attorneys in Michigan, and one bad one can make us all look bad. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope that makes sense to you. But yeah, I have the most immense respect for truck drivers in America. MD Hofsty says he's amazed at how close the movie The Martian was to the book by Andy Weir. Didn't read the book. I liked the movie, and I found the book. I found the movie to be pretty believable in the sense the way it was put together. I know there were some issues if you look up the goofs on IMDb, but I liked the movie, and I found it a credible movie. Lisa Remy, good afternoon, and to you, my friend. Oh, Dan Boyd was in third or fourth grade in 75 and 76 during the CB craze. People don't remember the CB craze. And I was becoming fascinated with 18 wheelers and started wanting to drive them. Yeah, the CB craze. I mean, we're talking about Johnny Carson cracking Citizens Band radio jokes at night, and songs on the radio hitting the top 40 about CBs. People talking on CBs. For a while, you'd see guys in like Trans Ams driving around with a big old whip antenna on the back for their CB. But it came and went just like disco. Kind of around the same time, almost. Rational gaze. Has anyone ever sent you a shirt that would be offensive or controversial? Yes. And did you wear it in a video? No. And I've told people, if you want to make sure I'll wear the shirt, please be sure to send me a note and say, Steve, I'm going to send you this shirt. Would you wear it? And because I get shirts sent in the wrong size, I get shirts sent with obscenities on them. I get sent political shirts. I will not wear a political shirt on camera. I don't care. Unless it's some wacky political party has one person that supports it. Smart Lock TV, can I pay for your objective legal analysis on an unlawful arrest in Utah on your channel? I've video evidence of them admitting to the conspiracy. Interested? Let me know. No, I cannot give you legal analysis in another state. And that by definition would be me practicing law without a license in another state. So I can't do that. But thank you for asking. But I've talked about that before. I cannot render legal advice in other states. And the most I could tell you is here's what would happen if it was in Michigan. And at that point, we're entering into theoretical like science fiction. But it wasn't in Michigan. It was in Utah, right? So I can't do that. And I apologize. I wish I could, but I can't. I can't. William Page, good afternoon from Odessa, Texas. Carl's Corner. Hello, Steve. Hello, Carl's Corner. Ross, Beaver Driver. Hey, Steve, first live with you. Never get notifications. Strange they are on. Have a blessed Sunday. Happy 2250th. I don't know. People tell me that all the time, and I have no idea how that works. If it's anything, it's nothing I can control. YouTube what YouTube does. That's all I can tell you is they just do what they do, and I just make the make the videos and put up the live streams. So there you go. Blah blah blah. Looks like we got us a convoy. Good buddy. 10-4. Oh. Skylark 5789. I love your videos. I just bought a certified used Jeep, had problems with shaking and wobbling. We call that the death wobble. Dealer said it was just rust on the brakes. Turns out it was an undisclosed accident with bent rims. Can they pay for them? Well, it depends what state you're in, and I cannot render you advice if you're not in Michigan. But a mechanic would tell you that wobbling can be caused by all kinds of things, including Jeeps have a problem with what they call the death wobble. And that can often be caused by something in the suspension being out of whack, and it causes it to do this instead of, just pulling or something. Obviously, rust on the brakes could cause a wobble, but I think it would be limited to when you're hitting the brakes, right? Now, if it's just the rims, are 4 rims bent or are 2 rims bent? Because you say plural rims. The question is, will replacing the rims fix the wobble or not? But an undisclosed accident is always something that becomes iffy because in most states, most vehicles used that are sold as used by dealerships are sold as is. And in many states, the only way to get around that would be for you to prove that they knew about that accident and did not disclose it to you. And then people say, but Steve, I bought it certified. Doesn't the certification mean something? I believe in most states, if you look at the certification language, the dealership is in a contract with the manufacturer on the certification, but not with you. The certified is simply a stamp of approval that they say that we will extend the warranty on this. So, but if you're in Michigan, I can answer some more questions for you. But if you're not in Michigan, I really can't help you out much beyond that. Yeah, drummer says he still owes Columbia House for all those CDs. Everybody does. Ian God just renewed my license at the California DMV in May and did not take a test. There you go. So you won't be dragged back in for a retake. Tackleberry, can you practice in Ohio? No, I can't. Sorry, I'm only in Michigan. Only in Michigan. I'm not. The thought occurred to me years ago that I might try to get licensed in another state or two. And I actually bought the books to study for another state, and I spent a couple of days, and I'm like, this is giving me a headache. 2000 MCR, please put your contact info at the end of your videos. My contact info is on my information page on YouTube. So Tackleberry, yeah, warped rotors could cause that. And if it warped really bad, it might actually cause some kind of issues, even without hitting the brakes. But the death wobble is a thing that we've heard about quite a bit. Dan Boyd says you can get a death wobble on a motorcycle. That is scary. Bob A. Bong is checking from Niles, Michigan. Of course, Niles, Michigan is down here, down there. Daniel Kessler says wheel bearings can cause a wobble. I suppose one goes bad, the other one doesn't, maybe? Now a curmudgeon, Steve Lehto in a fiction. I've never written fiction. I have. I've never published it, but I've written it. AKY115. Would you agree that slow drivers and people going slow in the left lane are far more dangerous than people who are speeding? It depends, because the problem is that speeding is hard to define. Someone who's going 5 over, to me, shouldn't even get a ticket for anything. Someone doing 100 over is probably dangerous. But I'm more annoyed by people driving slow in the left lane than I am by speeders, let's put it that way. JP points out an accident on a Jeep Wrangler can cause a wobble, but with no accidents, normally wear and tear on steering parts that causes it, especially rod ends and bushings. And thank you for checking in. JP, by the way, is a Jeep expert. He is a Jeep expert. And by the way, I don't normally recommend other videos on my channel, but JP is going to send you a note. Please watch the video put up by David Tracy and the Autopian, where he built a Jeep from parts ordered off of eBay and drove it to Moab. The guy's wrenching in his driveway. But it's so much fun to watch. Watch the final video where he actually takes the trip and drives it to Moab. It is an absolute fascinating thing. But yeah, I've had clients who bought brand new Jeeps that had to wobble. And it turns out there was something wrong with the setup and the steering or the bushings or something. And it's just crazy. So there you go. Jay Klein is back. He's missed a few streams with a scheduling conflict, but he is in the house tonight. Blah blah blah. Isn't it true that if I told you I lived in Michigan, you could answer my questions? Well, the problem there though is if you then give me facts that are not specific to Michigan, you'd get the wrong answer. And number two, you can't start a relationship without a basis of honesty. Oh boy. Skylark 579. Thank you guys. Thank you. Lock Watcher, sorry I'm late. Dan Boyd says Dennis Collins is the Jeep god. Well, Dennis runs a business devoted to Jeeps. He's a friend of the Fast and Loud guys. I like Dennis a lot also. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. But JP is a good friend of mine and a good friend of the show. And he's the guy who hooked me up with my Jeep Wrangler. So I've got a 98 Jeep Wrangler that JP is the guy I send notes to and say, hey, it's doing this now. What do I do now? So actually, I'm joking. I had no trouble with it at all. Julian Shaban, hey everyone. Dan Boyd, my favorite Skylarks are 66, 69. No. 70 to 73. Especially the Grand Sports and the Grand Sport X. Isaac Bob York, good evening. It's not me. 07 says always good to know a guy. Yeah, that's the key. The key is you don't have to know everything yourself. You just need to know where to find the answers. And sometimes the answer is knowing the right guy. Jay Klein, today is my youngest kid's 18th birthday. I'm feeling old. College orientation trip on Tuesday. Congratulations. And I know it's bittersweet because you might miss your child, but of course your child's going off. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. And if you did your job right, they can now go off into the world and be a productive and educated citizen. Blah, blah, blah. Speaking of Jeeps, you thought about taking yours out to the Sleeping Bear Dunes for a Lehto Rema. Where you want to take it is actually Silver Lake Dunes in Michigan, which is in the same general area, kind of, but further south, where you can actually, there's a park, a state park, where they encourage you to drive on the dunes. But my vehicle is more set up for road use. I'm not sure how well it would do on the sand. Mexican spec 73 Skylark, the Colonnade car. What's a Colonnade car? 73 Skylark is a Colonnade. What's a Colonnade? You're making me look up words. Hang on. An architectural feature consisting of a long sequence of evenly spaced columns. Hang on. Now I'm starting to question all of reality. Oh, the 73 Skylark's 1 year too new. I'm talking about 72. The 72 and earlier. No, hang on. I don't like the 73 as much. 70, 70, 70, 72 are the ones I like. Yeah, Chief FC, don't make me get the OED. I haven't pulled it out on camera in a while. I should do that once in a while. Thomas Uris, see a documentary on the Sleeping Bear Dune cars, a bunch of 39 Fords with balloon tires. No, but I've seen the international, I think they're Scouts that they converted, or internationals that somebody did for the same concept, I believe. E.J. Watson caught a district court misusing AI to write its decisions, and the circuit court is covering it up. Um, if it contains mistakes or errors, I would just keep appealing it. Sooner or later, you're going to get a higher court's upset that's going on. Sam as I am, my sister-in-law showed up in a 65 GS 400 convertible first time I met her. We hit it off immediately. Yeah, I've got a brother who's really into Buicks. Buicks are cool. Sleepers, they're beautiful cars, and you don't think of a Buick as a hot rod, but they made a few fast ones. Swamp Rat, what are your thoughts on the Slate truck? I've seen them on the internet. I've not seen one in real life. I think the idea is a good one. It's make an extremely inexpensive truck, but we'll have to see because they can build a couple nice ones and give them to the press for rides and whatnot. You got to sell a few thousand to the public and let the public let the average American have one for a little while and see how they work out. David Hastings, my dad had a 71 Skylark. Scary fast. 66 Pontiac Tempest sub GR 77. John Weimer says had a steamroller plow into his house. City paid for all the damages, including putting guardrails into our hedges. The reason that most likely is, I don't know what state you're in, but most states, even if they have immunity from lawsuits, there'll be exceptions. And one exception is usually if they're committing negligence with a vehicle. And so running a steamroller into your house would be negligence. It's hard to say, boy, I lost control of that steamroller and that house jumped up out of nowhere. Oh boy. E.J. Watson says they're not concerned. I presented the evidence and the circuit court decided in 2 days it was made boldly. What does that mean, boldly? I mean that they did it without trying to hide it? Well, you can always go higher, can't you? Yeah, Bob blah blah points out when the Ford Maverick came out, MSRP of 24,000, they could not make enough of them. Oh boy. Yeah, 116-3562. The average new vehicle costing so much. How can somebody pay $70,000 for a new truck? And that's the crazy thing. Go into a dealership and look at a loaded truck or a loaded SUV and look at what they cost. It's insanity. It's insanity. Skylark, please explain more about your adage. Don't look for fault, look for a remedy. I'm not sure that that's my adage. I've heard the saying before, but I don't know that I've ever said that out loud until just now. Yeah, JP reminds us you can buy that $70,000 vehicle with a 10-year car loan. Oh boy. John Zablak says steamrollers don't use steam anymore. It's funny though, it's one of those things. I mean, some of those names stick around long after the technology changes. I mean, we used to call what they call excavators steam shovels, steam shovels. And I have to correct myself or stop myself once because I'm about to call it a steam shovel. And people are like, what are you talking about? Old man. Fatty Butter Pants, I can restore my 1995 Silverado to showroom condition cheaper than I can buy a new one. Probably. Probably. Lock Watcher reminds us about the whole controversy between cement and concrete because some people will refer to concrete as simply as cement. It's like, no, technically cement is part of concrete, but And they do call them cement mixers, but they're mixing cement with other stuff and creating concrete. I would gather that's the thinking. But Echo Tracks like to revive the saying "whirly-bird" instead of a helicopter. What about chopper? Get to the chopper. No, a whirly-bird. I like that. Thomasaurus, do you think car engineers and designers should spend more time with salesmen because they come out with a new product? Toyota blew it with no V8 pickup. Well, all that thinking is happening at the levels way, way, way above that, at the CEO level or the president level or whatever. And the product planners will plan that stuff out. So no one tells, no, it's not an engineer who says we're not making V8s this year. Someone told the engineer we're not making V8s. Stop designing them. Blah 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 says the correct when you call a phone a hoot and holler, which, by the way, I shouldn't say this. I'm misusing the phrase. A telephone, by definition, is not an actual hoot and holler. A hoot and holler is a reference to a device where you can speak at both ends simultaneously, and you can kind of hear each other, but it's also kind of a mess. But a telephone, as you know, when you're talking, But yeah, the old hoot and holler. So you jump on the old hoot and holler and give them a ring. Yeah, Paul Thomas Harris, the pocketbook, which is what they call a purse in New England and elsewhere. There's some words like that that are very regional, like flapjack for pancake, or griddle cake. Susan Brown 717, did she ask what size I wear? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm allowed to ask for your correct t-shirt size. Please do. I don't like getting shirts the wrong size. I'm an XXL. And she says she's from Upperland. You mean the Upper Peninsula? The UP? Cool. I love stuff from the UP. I've already been up there twice this year. I'll probably get up there about 8 or 9 times this year. 2,000 MCR with 2 cups and a string in between count as a hoot and holler. Possibly. Possibly. Self-do asks, Canyonero or the Homer? The Canyonero is a better vehicle. And by the way, head-to-head, I think the Canyonero could take out the Homer. Uh, Kite fan, I disagree. It is more cost effective and meets the cafe standards to not make V8s. This decision would involve engineers, lawyers, and marketing, but the decision would be made by people above them. I had somebody tell me the other day that they bought one of those new gas nozzles for a gas can, and he goes, "These new gas nozzles are stupid. Thanks, lawyers." It wasn't lawyers that did that. It's the Federal Trade Commission and the Product Safety Commission. It has nothing to do with lawyers. 9886 says was on an Amtrak which hit a pickup truck, was not hurt, no claim, now being summoned. By whom? Are you being summoned by somebody on board the train or by a victim or relative of the pickup truck? Because I'm not sure what you could testify to if that's literally the case that you were simply a passenger on the train. If you were on it because you were driving it, you might want to disclose that in the question first, but you never know. One thing you can also probably do is call the attorney who signed the summons and say, "Hey, I just got a summons. I'm curious to know what you are going to ask me to testify about. I'm curious. Don't want to waste anybody's time here." I mean, they don't have to talk to you, but they might. Arts 4014, there are crazy people that restore original steam powered steam shovels. I've seen that on YouTube. And that's a perfect thing for YouTube, too. Fatima Butter Pants calls the power pole a telephone pole. Yeah, those will be called telephone poles for another generation. At least. At least. Thomasaurus, someone's making a fortune with aftermarket nozzles for gas cans. Oh, you got that right. Although I recently found a brand where the gas can's here, the output is here, and there's a button back here you press, and it works perfectly. And I've actually bought several of them now. Those things are fabulous. They work perfectly, and you can actually like turn it on and off much faster than you can tip a can. It's actually a good thing. DePaul says they used to be called telegraph poles. I just read a book on the history of radio in America, and people forget that Marconi did not really invent the radio as we know it. He invented the wireless telegraph. And so the whole idea of voice and music and all that stuff came later. And so the telegraph was a big deal. Then it kind of went away. But Fatty Butter Pants, I've been unable to find replacement nozzles. Most hardware stores sell them, and I think you also find them online, like at Amazon and so on. Stephen Frash, what brand is the gas can? I'm not sure if it's a particular brand or if somebody patented the someone patented the design. Hang on, I might be able to tell you. Let's see here. It's literally just called a no spill gas can with a button. No dash spill. No spill gas can. I've got two of them. They work great. Belio gas cans. Does that mean I should stop using old 1 gallon milk jugs? Well, it'll stop using plastic shopping shopping bags from the grocery store. Oh. Dan Boyd, I just picked up two Briggs and Stratton 2 gallon gas cans. Briggs and Stratton branded gas cans? Cool. More, what are we doing today? We were hanging out and chatting for another hour and a half or so. Ballpark. The prodigal stranger says you can go to any Army Navy store and buy some old jerry cans. The problem with a jerry can is a lot of times the cap and the nozzle is inside the cap, and so when you pop it around, the nozzle is soaked in gasoline, which is kind of can get kind of messy. I had a jerry can for my deuce and a half Army truck. Oh, Arts 4014 backyard wildlife report. This past week, I've had some baby deer again. Oh, I saw my first young turkeys of the year. A little turkey family. I'm guessing 4 or 5 youngsters were there. The first time I've seen them this year. Pesla Nico says it's sauna time in Finland. Yes, we say sauna, not sauna. Decent 176 degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost dangerous. Self, do you ever seen pics of German Panzer threes with a welded rack for jerry cans? Were they on the back of the turret, or were they back? I've seen so many pictures. I'm not sure if I've ever noticed that any that had a welded rack there. But obviously, yeah, army tanks drink a lot of gas. Standard deviation says that'd be a great name for a band, the Young Turkeys. Darkwood, can you legally feed wild turkeys to fatten them up? I'm sure you could. They do look awfully skinny though when you look at them compared to the turkeys they sell at the store. So, JR says I like pizza. This is America, and you can say whatever you want. I like pizza. Yeah, yeah. Congratulations. We many of us do. Although we argue about what to put on them. Thomasaurus. Panzers used to tow a fuel trailer. Easy targets. Um, John K., do you have any ideas on how to address consumer digital data rights for cars and what should be legislated? That's a tough one because unfortunately we are so outspent on that because all of the car companies and the lobbying groups will be spending money to make sure the legislators never interfere with that. And unfortunately, that's the way things are going. So, Vienticus typos are fun. Chris Stope, does anyone remember the movie Tank with James Garner and Shirley Jones? No, is it a musical? I mean, does not ring a bell. Mexican spec, do you think states like Massachusetts will succeed in getting cars over 20 years old off the road? What steps are they taking to do that? I know a lot of states want to get the clunkers off the road, especially they pollute a lot. But I mean, do they literally draw a line at 20 and say a car can't drive? Arts 4014 pizza was in fact the Wordle word a day or two ago. It was. Barvo Z5S. What model of microphone do you use? This is an Electro Voice RE20, as is that right there. Hang on, it's so hard to do this backwards, right there. And it's a very, very common microphone in broadcasting. I worked at probably 5 or 6 different radio stations that used this microphone. I love these microphones. It's not as compressed sounding as, like, say, an SM7 by Shure, which a lot of podcasters use. But I like this 'cause it's more forgiving. If I move around like this, it doesn't change the sound of the voice. Bob Kerflugen, I'm a little late. What did I miss? Well, first the Earth cooled down, then the dinosaurs came. Get me a Gator. I'd prefer if you drop the new video at the end of your live session. Well, the problem is I'd be dropping it in the afternoon then, and I'm there. People are so used to the mornings, you know. AC Moreland enjoyed the graveyard tour. Haven't done one of those in years. Yeah, I did my episode of Lehto Rama on Thursday. Was a walk to the Greenwood Cemetery in Birmingham, Michigan. Where it's a cemetery I know very, very well. I've been exploring that cemetery for years, and a lot of very interesting graves there, interesting people buried there, and so on. It's always a lot of history in cemeteries, and I enjoyed it a lot. So 1163562 DNR does ban feeding game animals in the Lower Peninsula. All game animals? I know they specifically forbid feeding deer because deer does cause problems. And then also people, of course, hunting over bait is illegal many times. So, Barvo, what model are your home speakers? You mean for my Wi-Fi or my excuse me, my hi-fi? No, I don't have home speakers. My speakers are whatever came with the computer. They're built into the screen. And I have a pair of these that I use occasionally. I also have some AKG K240 headphones right there. If you want to know what guys in radio use, they use those headphones and this microphone. Almost every disc jockey you've ever heard was using those two things. Ian Gotti, can you still buy wired speakers? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. like bookshelf speakers and so on. I know you can still buy those. They also do make Wi-Fi ones, but I'm pretty sure you can find wired speakers. Belia, how about a nice Neumann BCM? I'm not familiar with those. I mean, I know Neumann is a German microphone company, but I don't know that one. I'm just familiar with the ones that they use in radio stations because I worked in radio. 116-3562 says, I'm not sure what all animals, but deer, elk, and turkey. Really? Because I'm not aware of, hang on a second. It says that it's highly discouraged and illegal in some jurisdictions. Let's see what the state of Michigan says. Uh, there's a lot of reading here. Reading is hard. Oh boy. Good citizen says like, comment, share, subscribe. John Zablak, do not feed bears. Nico Pesla, do you know that Finland no longer has landline phones? It wouldn't surprise me. Finland can be quite advanced at times, and they can also, because it's the population being what it is, I suspect it'd be easier to make a transition like that. Of course, Nokia rules Finland, so and Nico knows what I mean by that. Mike Lackner, do you maintain your own vehicles? I finally gave up on changing my own oil. I no longer do my own oil changes. I just take them and get it done. I used to, but disposing of the oil and handling it was always just a pain. So Sub GR is an old cemetery in the UP over by Ontonagon. I'm not familiar with that one. There's a really cool cemetery in Copper Harbor. It goes way, way back. There's one in Eagle River, likewise old. And then, of course, the Lakeview Cemetery near Calumet, which is where many of the victims, all the victims of the Italian Hall disaster are buried. Swamp Rat, how much longer do you think that Lucid Motors will be lasting before they file bankruptcy? I have not been following this story at all. I've seen headlines about it, but I don't know anything about Lucid Motors. Lewis Browning is suggesting that people read the end credits, and I'm not sure what he's referring to there, or why, but yeah, Fatima Butterpants says make sure they put oil in your engine before you drive away. I've represented at least 2 people, maybe 3, who were told their car was fine, you can leave, and they drove off and bad things happened, including a very good friend of mine. He had a brand new Jeep Wrangler, and it was the first oil change. Oops. Yeah, Nico Pesel in Finland is pretty advanced. 5G everywhere. MH08 is Northwest one word or two. Well, here's the thing. That's the kind of word that you look up. I'm trying to remember. There was one last week that I put in a title to a video, and oh, I know what it was. I haven't posted the video yet. And it turns out it's commonly done as one or two, but one is acceptable. So I did it as one because it saves space on the thumbnail. John Weimer's is a famous Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn. Yeah, Elmwood, Greenwood, Lakeview, Lakeside. There's like 20 names. They just recycle them over and over again. Roselawn. Oh boy. 1163562. It says, according to a Michigan website, under baiting and feed, it says just a general statement. Baiting and feeding are banned in the Lower Peninsula. Of everything? Is it illegal for me to feed the squirrels? Can't find the MCL. I mean, it's not that important, but I will look it up and we'll talk about it later. Yeah, Fred Blowers points out that in Michigan, if they forget to put the oil back in the engine, you can't sue them. Well, you can sue them, but you got to pay your own attorney fees. So they're smart. They just fight it tooth and nail. Um, but the cases I handled before that law changed. Darkwood says, I've heard there are two or three corporations that own many or most of the cemeteries. Well, the privately owned ones have been bought up by big corporations. And the same is true of a lot of funeral homes. It's a very, very big industry. Good Citizens is late to the game and then retracted the rest of the message before I read it. Oh boy. You know, the sad part is the Michigan Supreme Court was so adamant that as long as you started the work, you performed it. And elsewhere, the same statute says you must complete the work. And the attorneys, I don't think they briefed it properly or something. I don't know. Bob blah blah says, could you go to small claims court and file two separate actions, one for the price of the motor and one for the labor? But no, you can't. You're generally required to bring all your claims against one party in one action, especially they arose from the same transaction. Otherwise, you could do that all day long and sue somebody 1,000 times. Yeah, Steve BM points out that private equity is buying everything. They're buying veterinarian services, they're buying HVAC plumbing, and so on. I know a very good friend of mine who's a veterinarian. I actually know two veterinarians. So this is not the one I talk about most of the time. This is a veterinarian in another state. And he was working for a place that got bought out by a big corporation. And the first thing that happened, all their prices doubled. Just doubled. Just everything became doubled. Like, what? Yeah, we're gonna make more money now. Vishanka, wouldn't it be claim splitting? Well, it's not claim splitting. It's just you are required to bring all your claims at one time. And I've never heard it called claim splitting in that sense, but they would just say that you're barred from bringing further actions against this party. So in Michigan, for instance, when you sue somebody, you have to fill out a form and you have to say whether or not there's ever been an action against this party over this claim. And if you say yes, the first thing is the judge is going to call you in and go, then why are you filing a second action? If you say, well, it's dismissed and it was not tried in the merits, maybe. But if you say, oh, I sued him already, I got a settlement, but now I'm suing him again for that, it doesn't work that way. MD Hofstees now says, after looking into it, it looks like a DNR only cares about feeding and baiting of deer or elk. And the reason I was thinking that that might be the case is that those are animals that get chronic wasting disease. I'm not sure that birds, such as turkey, suffer from the same thing, but I don't know. I also don't know if birds like turkeys ever gather into huge flocks the way that deer and elk herds can gather together. Barvo, do you like jazz concerts? I will admit to you, I've never been to a jazz concert. I'm not a big jazz fan. Jazz is one form of music I know almost nothing about. I know who Miles Davis was, and that's about it. Teddy Boragina, I saw on your second channel video that people in other states often ask you to be their lawyer. Have you ever had someone from outside America ask? Yes. I've had somebody from Canada ask me specifically and say, "Hey, Steve, I want you to be my attorney." And I go, "I can't. Why not?" "I'm not in Canada." "Well, can't you come over here?" "No, I'm not licensed to practice in Canada." "Why not?" "Well, you're not licensed to practice in Canada. Why should I be?" Okay, so MD Hofsey says MCL. And I like this concept because we go MCL 324. Hang on. 324 dot 40111. Hang on. 40111A. And it says deer and elk feeding. Talks about baiting and so on. Well, that talks about those two. I'd have to find one that says specifically that it doesn't address turkeys or does address only deer and elk. But there you go. Vinny Sluga lost power for 2 days because of a broken power line. I believe there are people in Michigan still without power, and it's been 2 days since the storm hit here also. Probably the same storm that hit you guys. Because Vinny, aren't you down? Are you in Illinois or Indiana? Someplace down that way? Vishanka, have you ever done Pro Hoc Vice into another state? No, I have not. And I've never had anybody honestly, seriously ask me to do that. So it to me, it's so far theoretical from what I'm actually doing that I've never even thought about it. Vinny Sluga is in fact in Illinois. Yeah, so the same storm crossed over, hit Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, I think parts of Ohio, and so on. MD Hofsey says in part two, it states feeding wild birds or other wildlife, if done in such a manner as to exclude wild, free ranging white tailed deer and elk from gaining access to the feed. Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. Gopher Brooks that put corn out for the squirrels, and I've got to shoot the deer that try and eat it. I've seen people joke about that. They put up signs that say, this feed is for the squirrels only. All other animals are subject to being shot. And hunters joke around about that. But I've actually watched some of those, those reality shows. They got film crews following the DNR guys around out in the woods, and they'll come across a guy in a tree stand over a pile of bait, and they'll walk up and say, "Excuse me, sir, come on down. Got to talk to you about this. You're not allowed to hunt here." And he goes, "Why not?" "There's a bait pile." He goes, "I didn't put it there." They go, "Yeah, but it's illegal to hunt over a bait pile." "Oh, I thought it was only illegal to put the bait down." "Well, if it's only illegal to put the bait down, you put it down." And go, "I didn't put it there." Like they've thought some of this stuff through. Okay. Thomasaurus, it's legal to keep your roadkill in some states. How about Michigan? I'm pretty sure there's a process whereby you can do it, but I think you've got to notify somebody and take the proper steps. And I'm pretty sure you can't do it on purpose. I go hunting with my car. Put a big old push plate in the front. Oh, by the way, not in my yard, but the other day I was driving down the road really late at night and I saw a raccoon, very young raccoon, in the middle of the road. And he looked at me and I slowed down so as not to run him over. There's no traffic out at all. And he skittered off and he climbed a little tree. And I'm looking at him going, if I wanted, I could walk over there and grab you out of that tree, but I won't. I win. Am I? Not sure to pronounce that, but if y'all want to hunt deer, come to Georgia. It's a 2-month season, and you get 2 bucks and 12 doe. I take it they're trying to cut down the population. Chris versus all scam on day 2 with no power. Thank God for generators. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've got one, and when I lose power, it's for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute. Sam as I am says he heard recently that the number one predator of skunks are owls who can't smell the skunk spray and they attack from above, so the skunks can't spray them anyway. You still got to get ugly when you eat them, though, right? Carl's Corner a few days ago, I saw wild turkeys with little babies. That's what started the conversation. Is I actually saw some day before yesterday on my property. Jay Klein hit a deer in Kentucky, and a cop just happened to see it happen. A guy that was behind us took the deer, and Jay and the cop helped him load it into his truck. Free food. Free food. Tank the Lord's got to go. Thanks for the show. Good luck to all. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ian Gotti, I like the idea of you buy something, you get a physical copy of it. So video game companies that don't give you a physical copy, you and I both know somewhere down the road they're gonna go, oh, it expired. Sorry. Yeah, Josh Holman, I didn't put that bait down. I'm just hunting over it. What a novel excuse. Michael Johnson says, get the deuce and a half back for the push bumper. The bumper on the deuce and a half, I swear to God, was like an inch thick, just cast iron, just probably more like a half inch. But that thing, you could push a house off its foundation with that thing. I mean, it was the most robust bumper I've ever seen. I'd be scared to see what could damage it. G Keyman had a small raccoon in his yard last night. Maybe the one I saw is over in your direction. Lockwatcher's got a neighbor growing plants that smell like skunks. I've heard of that. Darkwood, I saw a huge alligator roadkill on the way to New Orleans, and an hour later, somebody picked it up. Like they ran it over? That's got to be a massive speed bump, right? Feel sorry for the alligator. Tay Zonde's in the house. Will you write a book about your YouTube creator experience or a memoir where the primary topic is yourself? I've never thought my life was that interesting. But you got to watch my second channel when I complain about the crazy people, because that's usually me venting about my YouTube experience, but that's different. AAC Allison. Yes, I too like cemeteries. Cool. Yeah, Steve used to like raccoons until one damaged his roof and got into his attic. They are destructive, not just to be destructive, but they can be destructive when they're trying to do things like build nests and have families and so on. 2000 MCR. Did you see the story of the Atlanta cop's paycheck being garnished every month until he pays $21 million in damages for paralyzing an unarmed elderly man? No, I did not. But that right there is what I always tell people. I say, you understand, people go, I'm not collectible. Well, understand that some judgments cannot be discharged in bankruptcy, and someone can chase you until the ends of the earth to get paid. And so there's a guy right there who might be paying for quite some time. Yeah. I win me says, oh, yeah, you do not want to hit a gator. Better off hitting a log or a telephone pole laying on its side. Power 2084. Are the ladies' comments at the end of the videos repeated sometimes, or is it always a new one? It's almost always a new one. I'm not making this up. I've got 4 or 5 thousand of them, but I occasionally make mistakes and repost one or two. And I've actually done the same one 2 days in a row because I wasn't paying attention. But you shouldn't be recognizing them if I'm doing my job right. MH08 is driving on I-25 in Wyoming late November. Most of a deer herd is wiped out, dead deer and stopped cars everywhere because of fog and light snow. I had a situation where I was coming back from Bad Axe driving to Detroit in like 1982, and it was foggy, really, really foggy. And I came around a curve and I saw flashing lights and I slowed down and I realized that the road was blocked. This is M53 or Van Dyke, Southern Huron County. And it was cornfields on both sides. And so I had to stop my car and get out. And I walked up to see what was happening. And 2 or 3 cars had hit some deer. And it was one of the goriest things I ever saw. And I heard noise in the corn where some animals had limped off and were just it was bad. And I thought people had gotten hurt because there was so much blood. And the police officer apologized. I'm so sorry. He goes, hang on a second. And he moved his car and he directed me on how to get around without causing any trouble. But yeah, it's crazy. If you don't live in an area where there are deer, that's one thing to be grateful for because a herd of deer in the roads, they can get real ugly. Nut and Fancy too. Where do the comments at the end of the video come from? Well, the voice is Heather, the Canadian robot lady, a good friend of ours. She's a voiceover artist from Canada. She's been doing this for about 6 or 7 years now, at least. And she gathers up quotes. People send them quotes. They send them to me. I pass them along to her. I send her quotes. Some are jokes. Some are from movies. Some are fortune cookie ish in the sense that they are just little gems of wisdom. And they're just there. AC Moreland, my cousin hit a deer on his motorcycle. Yeah, that's one I would not want to be involved in. It's bad enough to hit one with your car. It's bad to hit one with your motorcycle. Brett, 7284, good afternoon from West Bloomfield. Blah, blah, blah. Insurance companies will debate if you hit the deer or the deer hit you. Because then they'll try not to pay it. It's not our fault. It's the deer's. Go sue the deer's estate. Steve Kelleher says that the Yoopers had a song, Goofus got a buck, he hit it with his truck. Jay Klein hit a bunch of vultures on a foggy morning in the late 1980s. Vultures are big birds. You're talking about turkey vultures? They stand about this high. They're really goofy looking up close, too. And you'll often see them just circling above, circling. But if you see them on the ground picking at something, man, they are scary looking beasts. 116-356. I hit a deer on 75 just north of 59. Hitting a deer at 80 isn't fun. So that's right near, like, say, Oakland University Drive. There's a lot of deer in that area. A lot of deer. In fact, the deer have wandered south from there quite a bit. I was visiting the old neighborhood where I grew up, and there was a deer in the backyard of the house I grew up in, and I never saw a deer the entire time I lived there. And my dad told me that he'd started seeing deer the last, I think, about 10 years maybe. And all the yards are small, they're fenced, everything. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Your lock watcher says try to avoid the moose and squirrel. Now, squirrel won't do as much damage to your car, but moose will. You do not want to hit a moose with your car. John Nowak reminds us that grandma got run over by a reindeer on Christmas Eve. You know, the funny thing is that song is actually very, very funny. Most of us are sick of it by now, Elmo and Patsy, but it's one of the greatest novelty songs of all time. It is hilarious, and it stands up to repeated hearings. I every time, the first time I hear it each year, I listen and I laugh. Now, the 10,000th time, I stop laughing. 116-3562. I was indeed between M59 and University Drive. That's right there near the Chrysler World headquarters. Well, it's not called Chrysler anymore, I don't think. It's called something silly. Vienticus, I like the song The 12 Pains of Christmas. Oh, boy. Oh, Daniel Kester says you also don't want to hit a cow or a horse. If you hit a cow, somebody else made a big mistake. Okay? A horse, yeah, you have to understand horses can almost always get out if they want to. They just don't care about it. Sam as I am says here in rural Pennsylvania, deer are everywhere, especially in the fall. And people still tailgate you on 60-mile-per-hour rural roads, winding roads, without fail. Arts 4014, The Nails, 88 lines about 44 women. That's a great song. It's a great song. Um, that song was a regular on KROQ Los Angeles and nowhere else, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I mean, WLIR might have played it, for instance. But JJ says the Mets are on NBC right now. If you want to watch AJ Ewing, if you could please let me know how he does. AJ's batting in the 260s right now. He hit his fourth home run a little while ago. He's still doing quite well. So let me know how AJ Ewing does when he gets to bat. Sometimes to listen to myself has washed two cars and power washed his driveway. That, my friends, is a productive day right there. You're now free to do whatever you want. It's all you time from this point forward. Zach says, I think a farmer could get charged if somebody hits their cow with a car. Believe it or not, there's a famous case that we read in law school. I forgot the name of the case, where there was a huge discussion about whether or not it mattered what color the cow was. A lighter colored cow, the driver should have seen it. A darker colored cow, no. Blah, blah, blah knows the song. Deborah was a Catholic girl. She held out to the bitter end. MD Hofsey, he's batting seventh today. He's usually floating around between 5 and 7 in terms of his place in the lineup. Lockwatcher was at the O'Leary's cow. No, it was not. Frankly, O'Leary's cow is framed, but that's another story for another day. Silent Hangus says if you hit a cow in a western state, the driver could be at fault and could owe for missed future bloodline of said cow. Well, then would your insurance cover it? Chief FC cut his lawn on Thursday, but now it looks like it needs it again because he was hoping to have the weekend free. Nick Bradley, remember, sir, you are under oath. I'll repeat the question. How now, brown cow? Is that a far side? JJ, don't you have a TV in your room? Me? Do you see a television? No. Fatima Butterpants says all my cows are fully insured, but Silent Hanga says it's called open range. There's signage. Lady Michigan says I woke up with all of my fingers and thumbs today. Yeah, but there are some people who didn't. I guarantee it. I have not heard any stories yet, but I'm sure they'll be in the news next day or two. AC Moreland says the best farce was the gunslinging sloth. But my favorite was the one where it's the reception area in front of a boss's door, and the door is open, and the boss has fallen out onto the ground and split open, and there's ducks climbing outside of this man's body. Clearly, he wasn't a real man. He was a bunch of ducks in a human form. And one of the ducks points at the secretary and goes, "You've seen nothing here, nothing." And that's why Farside was often so funny, is there were like 6 jokes there. One was that a bunch of chickens or ducks or whatever they were pretending to be a human. And yet when they'd been exposed, one of them still thought he could boss the secretary around. Oh boy. Arts 4014, the Far Side Rules. I actually just ran across an interview I'd never seen before with Gary Larson back when he was still doing it, talking about it. And you could tell he's clearly perplexed as like how he didn't understand like how popular his stuff was. He's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just trying to make myself laugh. AC Moreland's got one of the Far Side books. I've got a bunch of them. I've got a bunch of them, including the one where he explains a bunch of the jokes that confused people. Some people got offended by things that there were no reason to get offended by. And some people got angry because they thought that some of the jokes have deeper meaning than they did. MHOH says, look up the song Cows by the Suburbs. I love the Suburbs. I like their stuff off the album they did with Mercury Records, but a lot of people don't like it because they think it's too commercial. Never Stop to Say Goodbye is one of the greatest songs of all time. But hey, thanks for mentioning the Suburbs. Bob blah blah had a Far Side daily calendar. The problem is that people would often come by and flip through to check out the further jokes, and they'd often get messed up that way. Swamp Rat, like the Wizard of Id, and the King and Rodney overlooking a battle, and the King said, "I want those men spaced out," and Rodney said, "They must be, or they wouldn't be moving into battle." There's also the one where I think it was Wizard of Id, where there's a bunch of people and they're trashing a town and burning everything to the ground, and the commander's going, pillage, then burn. Repeat after me. Pillage, then burn. So Sam as I am says Gary Larson is a regular customer of the high-end audio store he worked in at Seattle. Most unassuming guy in the world. That's the way he came across in the video I saw. And the greatest thing about it was that he, much like Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Watterson, who just stopped doing it because he thought, I've got nothing else to say. And Gary Larson stepped back also. And like at the peak of his fame, could have just kept going. He could have kept phoning it in and decided not to. So yeah, Zach says the Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes are a close tie. MH08, has this chat ever really talked about cows? This is the most cow-centric chat we've had, yes. Mark Miller, ever heard of the band the Yeah Yeah Yes? I think I've heard the name, but Bob Kerflugen's got the Kelvin and Hobb books. I've got them too. Something Under the Bed is Drooling is one of them. MD Hofsty says, I still love the chats in Tom Grossi's channel when they get into which state has the best corn. Okay, there's like three things there I don't understand. I don't know who Tom Grossi is. And I'm not even sure what state my corn comes from unless I actually buy it at a roadside stand. And even then, it's 50-50. So, Fatima Butterpan says this chat needs more cowbell. Well, everything needs more cowbell. Everything needs more cowbell. That's what we need. More cowbell. Yeah, and Old Paint reminds us that there's a cartoon of the caveman with a drawing of a stegosaurus, and he's explaining the parts of it. And he goes, "This is the thagonizer," and he's pointing at the tail, which's got the spikes on it. Named for the late Thag Simmons. And paleontologists actually did adopt that name for that part of the tail. And there's like 16 things funny about that. I think isn't he using a slide projector? Like, so it's a caveman with a slide projector. He's got a photograph of a stegosaurus. And then Thag had a last name, Thag Simmons. MD Hofsty says Tom Grossi was the NFL fan of the year and is currently raising money for St. Jude. He is streaming until he hits 1.5 million and is close to 1.4 million right now. Okay, well, that's respectable. I'd never heard the name, so I wasn't trying to make fun of him, but somebody mentioned him and I didn't know who he was. So STP World says I thought Kelvin and Hobbes had a copyright issue. With what? I know people were stealing their stuff and putting them on the backs of trucks with a picture of Kelvin whizzing on like a Ford or something, but that wouldn't be something that would cause the man to stop drawing the comic. AC Moreland, I'm sitting here laughing at Steve's description of a Far Side comic. Love it. I've never heard that that's one of the reasons that he quit drawing is because people misusing the image. Because obviously there's things they could have done to try to stop that. I don't think they ever took steps. I think it started out, and nowadays it's so easy to make stickers that people are just making the stickers. And it would have been hard to stomp it out, but it's unfortunate because Kelvin was such a beloved character, and to get misused that way is inappropriate. Arts 4014, is your property large enough to legally have a cow? Don't have a cow, man. No, I don't know um what the legal requirements are to own a cow. I've never thought about it. Presumably, you'd need to have space to keep it if you wanted to be, humane to the cow. Although I guess a cow would be more bovine, but I'm joking. I have no desire to own a cow. Don't get me wrong, cows in some contexts are just fine, but I've been around cows just in a field and they don't smell good. Daniel Crenshaw, I can't even have chickens in my town. Standard deviation, do you have a transmogrifier? I do not. A Kelvin invention. Good citizen says Steve is a car guy. Doesn't mean I'm not a cow guy. No, I'm just kidding. Steve says, I've heard the Europeans who came here to watch World Cup games don't want to leave. Not sure which country or maybe all of them. I've seen some like TikTok stuff about some visitors enjoying looking at some of the oddities in and around some of the host sites, but I'm not sure how many of them would actually want to live there. But you never know. Something to list myself's got to run. Have a great show. Thank you. Have a nice day. We've got about a half hour left here, I think. MHOH says they parade cows in downtown Denver in January. Yeah, it's probably easier to clean up than in July, right? Oh boy. Richie Rich says the Scots don't want to leave. But won't they have to leave when their team loses? Chief FC points out that Disney is famously litigious, and yet there are stores in Orlando selling knockoffs of Disney stuff. So a cartoonist has little chance stopping the stickers. Mark Keppel, I hope your 250th celebration was good. It was rather low key, just hung out. I took the Viper for a ride yesterday. I did take the Viper out yesterday, drove around a bit. The roads were empty. It was nice. It was hot, sunny out. Beautiful. Bison Thumper. Hi, Stephen. Happy 5th of July. Just want to tell you how much I enjoy your channel continued success. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. As I've said before, without people watching my videos, I'd just be a guy talking to himself. Bored and lonely. Now I think of a great name for a video series, Bored and Lonely. Clock Builder HQ. Hey, Steve. Or is that HG? I was in Calumet yesterday and drove by the Italian Hall site. Also, visited the grave of Ruth Ann Miller, located at the Tamarack Mine. And thank you for letting me know that. The Italian Hall site is, of course, in Calumet proper. Ruth Ann Miller was a little girl who died she fell down a mine shaft back in the 60s, I think. And a really sad story because when a lot of the mines closed, they capped the mine shaft and just left them. And over the years, water had eroded one of the caps around one of the mine sites, and there was a gap in there, and she fell through there. And somebody ran to get help, and she'd fallen a distance, but they think she was on a ledge of some sort. But now, when they're working above her, they got to make sure stuff doesn't fall and hit her on the way down. And they launched a very, very convoluted rescue attempt to try to get her out of there, and they wound up not being able to do it. So they eventually recapped the mine and put a big fence around it and a grave there, and that's now her grave, Ruth Ann Miller. And it is a very, very sad story, but that's one of those things where that industry, when they left, did leave some loose ends they did not take care of properly. So Mitch says I-75 between West Branch and Higgins Lake is a heavily concentrated area for deer. I had to slow through them at 10 miles. Dude, that area, drive through at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you'd think the deer come out to like look at the road. There's the deer everywhere. I was coming back from the UP once and I had to get home. I think I had a court hearing the next morning or something. Driving through there at 2 o'clock in the morning, going really slow because there's so many deer. Arts 4014, how about a later Rama on metal detecting? I will when I find an appropriate site. Blah, blah, blah. I noticed in the Lehto Rama you had a camera person. Yes, on some of these, I will have camera people with me because it allows me to do slightly better things outside of my studio. Robert Lee, have you taken the Viper to a drag strip? No, I have not. I'm curious about what I could do at a drag strip because I can shuffle it through the gears pretty good. Mark Keppel, we'd love to do a trip to Frankenmuth. Need to try and meet you in person. It's been about a year since I went to Frankenmuth. Frankenmuth's a cool town. I worked there for a while. A bit of a tourist trap. They've got Bronner's, of course, which is the largest Christmas store, I believe, in the world. They put on some really nice festivals there, a couple car shows that are really nice. And then, of course, the town is kind of cool as well. Mustang MG05 says PBS recently aired their documentary on the Italian hull disaster. The one called Red Metal, because that's the one I'm in, if that's the one you're talking about, because I was in the PBS documentary called Red Metal about the Italian hull disaster. Whitey, do you miss teaching law? Actually, I do. I do. If there was a law school nearby that offered me an adjunct position, I'd probably take it just because I enjoy it so much. But although grading's a pain, but Miko Angel, do you pay the cameraman? Yes, I do. The cameraman on that video was Jared. Jared, I put his name in the credits. Jared's a good friend of mine, and when he's available, I use him. He's very, very good. I win me. There is a town not far from me called Santa Claus. Well, we've got a town in Michigan called Christmas up in the UP. Christmas, not far from Munising. Vienticus, when I taught, I used to say my best student was the wall. It absorbed everything. Oh boy. Yeah, I've studied quite a bit about. Dan Boyd mentions water erosion underground. I've read the whole story about Ruth Ann Miller, and it's kind of amazing because you'd think that nowadays they could lower somebody in with some kind of harness, but the problem is there was stuff jammed up that had gotten down there already, and she'd fallen through some of it, and trying to remove some would cause other parts to fall and keep falling. So Arts 4014 says tough to know if you have a good metal detecting site in advance. No, it's not. No, no, no. I've gone to sites before where I knew I was going to find stuff, and I've recently been experimenting by putting a camera on the shaft of the detector, and it actually comes out really, really well. So I could bring a couple GoPros on tripods, put the one on the detector, and I'd be good to go. MD Hofsey says, don't forget about Paradise and Hell. Yeah, Paradise is a town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Hell's kind of in the Ann Arbor area. People always joke about that, whether or not Lansing or Ann Arbor is halfway between. They're, I guess they straddle hell, but Steve says watching the Mets game, commercial now, but AJ is coming up next. So let me know how he does. Jerry Dodge just got home from the grocery store. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Good citizen. I've never found a gold coin while metal detecting, except I did find a necklace that had a gold. It was a round 24 karat gold, like token. It looked like a coin, but it wasn't. But the bezel was gold also. Blah blah blah. Why do I think of hippies when you say Ann Arbor? Ann Arbor was known as being a hippie hangout. That's they do the hash bash every year. And yeah. Bonnie's sister, any thoughts about dynamic pricing? I think it's wrong. I think stores should be required to put a fixed price on something, let a consumer look at it, make a decision. And if it changes prices based on you walking up to it, but someone else walks up to it and it lowers the price, I think that's wrong. Lock Watcher, and other than cemeteries, any of the ghost sites in Michigan. Well, I don't believe in ghosts, so not really, but I'm sure there's some people who think there are haunted things in Michigan. But I win me. The M119 tunnel of trees is a beautiful drive, except not right now because several of the portions of the road have washed out. I did a drive through there on my Viper a while back. 1163562 did find a gold ring metal detecting. It was like the third time I had it out. I've never found a gold ring. I found several silver rings. And I found a lot of coins. I have my detector set to where it pretty much ignores jewelry because jewelry is such a varied signal that you can spend half your time digging false alarms if you're looking for jewelry also. Is that a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue in your bottom shelf behind you in the back room? Erie 4662. No, that's a bottle of honey. I think it's a bottle of honey. Oh, wait, no. No, no, no. Hang on. That's a bottle of whiskey. A lawyer gave me that from West Virginia. Bottle of whiskey. Foreman Colossus, I have not shepherdized a case in ages. Is there a new internet way to shepherdize? For those who don't know, if you want to look up a case, you read the case, you wonder if the case is still good, you'd go to a thing called Shepherds, and they would tell you if the case has been overturned, modified, or otherwise upheld. Um, Generally speaking, you can just Google the case and try to find other cases that talk about it. But I'm not sure if Shepherds has moved to online or not. MD Hopsy says the count is 3-1, 3-1. How much you want to bet they walk him? He gets walked a lot. Up, foul ball, 3-2. Steve says AJ Ewing just hit a home run straight away. Did he really? I think that's his fifth. Wow. Yeah, 1163562. I don't drink. That's why the bottle is still there. It'll be there next year, unless I move it. Lockwatcher, I think the neighbor across the street's been stealing my corn. Oh boy. Belio says haunted battlegrounds. People swear the Confederate battlegrounds down here are haunted. I sure wouldn't go there at midnight. Well, there's a lot of memories there, that's for sure. A lot of history. In Francis Ford Coppola's, oh, it's raining now. Um, Dracula. When Keanu Reeves shows up at when Harker shows up at Castle Dracula, and Dracula greets him, and he goes, "I'm going to ask that you do not go into the older portions of the castle. It contains many bad memories." He doesn't say ghosts, he says bad memories. The Prodigal Stranger is at the Hatfield McCoy Bourbon. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Swamp Rat, Savannah, Georgia has a paranormal history. Yeah, there's a lot of that happening in Savannah. Savannah's a beautiful town, though. Beautiful town. Tim Nossum, Great Lehto Rama. I visit old gold mining graveyards in Colorado often. Yeah, haunted tours in Georgia, a lot of them. I Winnie, I win me. Is it I win Michigan? Could that MI be Michigan? I don't know. No one tells me these things. Jose Alba 87. What say you, Mexico or England? Well, I watched England play the other day. They got that guy who scores the goals, Harry Kane. Oh, a couple nice ones too. But I'm not emotionally invested yet in any other teams. I'll watch the U.S. play, of course. And I like Portugal. I like Portugal. But someone asked me before the tournament to pick somebody. I said, Argentina. So we'll see what happens. But there you go. Steve asks, is that where the Savannah Bananas are from? I believe it is. I believe they were a minor league team that they decided to start doing what they do to bring in more people. Erie4662, do you think porch packages rigged to explode with paint is legal and funny or dangerous and illegal? Many of the videos you see are AI generated. They're not even real at all. Many of them are fake. There was a guy who posted a whole bunch of them where people were opening these things in their cars and all kinds of stuff. And people noticed that the footage being shot was not being shot by the device itself. And then he admitted they were fake. So I question a lot of those. And I can't stand when people send them to me because all you're doing by sharing them is you're helping them. Just stop watching them. Oh, it's I win and Nimi is I win backwards. Therefore, it's all caps. It's the same upside down. I win. I win. Okay. Sure. Kevin Smith says it's your porch. So, well, the problem, of course, is we've talked about trap guns before. How you cannot, booby trap your house. Even if someone's trespassing, they get hurt by a booby trap, they're going to sue you and own your house. Don't do it. And so if that thing exploded in their hands and hurt them, you might have a problem on your hands. Irish Scotland, the Delaware mine up in the Keweenaw. What about it? I've been there many times. It's a little town called Delaware, between, say, Calumet and Copper Harbor. And it's a mine that was in operation for a few years. Not one of the bigger mines. Was not like Calumet and Hecla or the Champion. But you can tour the mine now. And there's a couple levels in it that you can tour. And then there's a bunch of levels that are flooded. And people actually dive, like scuba dive in there. And if you go down there when the water's clear, it's the freakiest thing. It's all like suspended animation. Kevin Thomas, is Steve a fan of steam locomotives? Yes and no. I mean, I don't go out of my way to see them, but I think they're cool. Very, very cool. Oh, Irish Scotland haunted. I don't know why they keep trying to say that about the mine being haunted. I think they're just doing that to get more clicks. Because I took the tour one time and the tour guide goes, "Now watch this." And he turns off his flashlight and he goes, "See?" And there's some lead on the wall. And he's like, "People say it's a ghost." And I'm like, "Yeah, some people say it's just light trickling in." Tim Nossum loves mine tours, reminds you what a dangerous job it was, and they did it daily. Yeah, guys working in the dark, a mile deep, hammering away and dynamite going off and stuff. Miko Angel, do you touch on the supernatural in American murder houses? I've mentioned a couple times which houses people claimed were haunted, but to me, that's, you know, how do I verify the house is really haunted? Kevin Smith, I build replica models, interested in a scale model of your Cobra. I've already got a pretty decent scale model right there. It's hidden behind the Aussie Pink Floyd backstage passes. But thank you for the offer. Daniel Crenshaw, mining is still dangerous, but not as dangerous as it was. Oh, of course, it's still dangerous, but compared to then, I mean, back in 1912 in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, there was one man per week dying in the mines, dying at a time when there was no workman's comp and you couldn't sue the mines. Funny how that changed. So, Margard says, I loved reading American Murder Houses. Very well written. Great job. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mad632 says that model is probably a stick shift. I'm sure it is. Fred Blower has ever been to Carlsbad Caverns in Carlsbad, New Mexico? No, I have not. Prodigal Stranger, I sent an email for a copy of your Winged Car book last Sunday. Haven't gotten a reply. I must not have gotten your email, and I thought I checked the spam too. I have a very aggressive spam filter. No, I've got like 10 left, I think. Try again. Haven't you and I corresponded via email? I thought we have. Forbin Colossus ever call manual transmission a standard or a standard shift? Of course, but that's more, that's like when you're trying to get really technical. But yeah. Prodigal Stranger, yes, several times. As we've corresponded via email. Yeah, send me another email. I don't know why that would be. Darkwood, are there any paddle wheel tourist boats on the Great Lakes? I don't think so. There were a lot of paddle wheel boats on them in the 1800s. MW, in your best youth, would you climb to the tippy top of the Empire State Building for $1 million? Um, do I get to like be safe about it? Can I actually like wear a harness and hooks and stuff, or do I have to climb it up there barehanded? I know people who do it barehanded and just do it. No fear of heights. I'm not crazy about heights. Oh. MW, no harness? No, no, would not do it. I wins paddle wheel boat tours on the Minnesota River near Duluth. But isn't the river that comes out of Duluth, is that one called the St. Louis River? Where's the Minnesota River? Or is that what you're referring to? Yeah, good citizen adrenaline junkies. I've known some who would do crazy stuff. Like, I would never do that. MD Hofsey says Saugatuck, which is a town on Lake Michigan, has a paddle wheel tour boat, but I think it only visits the Lake Saugatuck. I thought Grand River had one around Grandville. Yeah, there might be some on the rivers. I mean, there was a riverboat one on one of the rivers near Chesaning, but I think it got beached and it's kind of like fell apart. Chief FC, who gets the $1 million if you die and to climb down? No, you got to come down to claim the money alive. Tim Nossman, I think Steve would hang a flag about civil asset forfeiture. Andy New York says the Mets lead Atlanta 5-3 in the second inning, but AJ hit that home run, so we're happy. Yeah, good citizen fly the Institute for Justice flag. I would do that. There you go. D-Bach, you have a great way of explaining and telling stories. Does anyone come knocking looking for you to do a show on TV or cable streaming? Not really. I did the My TV thing a while back, but that's not that widely distributed. And I've done some stories, like say on Vin Wiki. I've done about 20 videos on Vin Wiki's channel, Ed Bolian's channel. But not really. No, I've been in some documentaries. I was in the Red Metal documentary on PBS. I was in a documentary on ESPN about Bobby Isaac. A couple others. They all blend together after a while. Irish Scotland idea, the St. Louis River. I fished on it many times. I had my canoe on it once about 8 years ago. And I saw a fish jump out of the water. I'm not making it up. It was easily this big. A huge fish. Did not catch it on camera, though, sadly. I wish I had. MD Hofsey says the Holland Princess runs up to the big red lighthouse at the end of the channel, but stays on Lake Makatawa when lake is rolling. Belios is last I knew they still have paddle wheel boats in the Cumberland River in Nashville doing dinner and music shows. I know there's a bunch in the Mississippi River too. Jerry Dodge, you have a distinct voice. You could be the next Morgan Freeman. It's not deep enough. Morgan Freeman's got a great voice. Old Paint, the Tunerville Trolley and Riverboat Tour at Tequamanon was for sale a couple of years back. I think it ended up closing down. I never trusted doing a tour of the falls from above the falls. I don't like the idea of being on a boat above the falls. I don't care. I don't care. I've approached the falls in my canoe from below. I came all the way in from Whitefish Bay, all the way up the river, which is like 16 or 20 miles, something like that. But yeah. MD Hopsy says there is a paddle boat on the Detroit River, which I think might be the best option for a quote unquote Great Lake paddle boat. Um, I'm not familiar with it. I think I've heard of it, but I wasn't sure they're still doing that or not. Foreman Colossus says helicopter tour to avoid before a tour boat. I've been on a helicopter before. Wasn't that bad. In fact, it was one of the open sides, and I was leaning out taking pictures. I just kept thinking, don't drop your camera. Oh. Morgan Freeman, how about James Earl Jones? Can you try Luke, I am your father? Oh, James Earl Jones' voice is great. One of the most amazing voices. This is CNN. And you believed it. Jerry Dodge, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. I win helicopter tour over Yellowstone is totally worth it. I've got friends who took helicopter tours in Hawaii. They say were worth it. And then I've also heard of crashes in Hawaii that make you think about it. So, yeah, Swamp Rat wants to correct us. He didn't say, Luke, I'm your father. He just started out. It's kind of like play it, Sam, versus play it again, Sam. Of course, when people misremember things like that, it shows you that the script was probably wrong. Greed is good. No, 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 no. He said greed, for lack of a better word, is good. And I guarantee you that right now, Oliver Stone's going, it should have been greed is good. But no, 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 no. I knew this was going to happen. About 75 people weighing in on the I am your father. And the prodigal stranger points out, yes, it is in fact a ham sandwich anomaly. Thank you. Thank you. MD Hofsey says that the Detroit River cruise, they run 2 cruises, about $70. I would take it if they went to Boblo. Oh, Steve says AJ just caught a fly ball, man. He can fly. He can cover a lot of ground. He can because he is an extremely fast runner. He plays center field because of that. And he's also stolen a lot of bases. I believe last year in the minor leagues, he stole 70 bases. 70, 7-0. Spencer 6, are you a Tigers fan? Sort of. I'm from Detroit, so I kind of have to be. But the Tigers haven't done much in the last few years. So right now I'm rooting for AJ Ewing of the Mets because he's the son of a friend of mine. I've known his stepfather for 55 years, something like that. And Tim Nossen points out there are also cruises on the Great Lakes where they hit a bunch of cities and go through a bunch of different lakes, including the Sioux Locks. Would be pretty cool to take a boat through. MD Hofsey says it is a 12 to 2 or a 7 to 9 cruise. So it's a 2-hour cruise with Motown review songs. It sounds what they should do is they should then get in a shipwreck, beach that on an island in Lake Erie, and then spend like 2 or 3 television seasons trying to get off the island. Oh. And our time together is not only almost over, it is actually over. We've been here for more than 2 hours. So there we go. I'll talk to you guys again next week, as I always do. Watch for a new Lehto Rama Thursday afternoon. Otherwise, videos every morning. Talk to you later. Bye bye.